65 podcast from the Field of 68 Network. And we're joined today by Baylor forward Tchamwa Tchatchoua. I tell you what, there's a lot of fan favorites on this team, but John has really, I think he's rising to the top. I mean, Baylor fans and Baylor Nation has really fallen in love with this guy, and for good reason. Not just because of the productivity, but just because of the energy and the good vibes and the spirit he brings to the court and also to the bench when he's out of the game. So, John, thanks for joining us today. And first of all, I think fans just want to get a little bit more familiar with your story and kind of what life was like growing up for you and how you got to Baylor. You're from Cameroon. What was your life like early on in terms of sports? Because I know basketball didn't really creep in until the last 4 or 5 years, right?
Yes, that's right. Actually, I'm from Cameroon, like you say, and basketball is not actually the main sport down there. We actually play more soccer, which we call football outside of the US. So I
Mhm.
played soccer from maybe the day I was born till probably 15 years old. I was actually dreaming of being a professional soccer player before I even touched the basketball.
Right. What were you, a good soccer player? What were you good at?
Um,
What
I was
position?
kind
Or
of average, but I think I was a really good goalkeeper as well. I was a really good defender as well. So I just loved soccer.
what were you like as a kid? Like, what were your, besides playing soccer, what were your hobbies? What was life like for you in Cameroon or at an early age?
I mean, in those days compared to Kim nowadays, I was really like staying outside a lot. I would spend like the whole day just playing soccer with my siblings. I actually had three brothers and a sister, so I would just
Mhm.
spend like the whole day spending like just playing soccer around in the neighborhood with my little brothers and my older brother. I would do that and sometimes play video game probably a little later on when I was around 12 or 13.
Right. Tell me about your family. Were you raised by both of your parents? What were they like in terms of what were they doing for work and how were they strict on you, or were you um, a
Uh,
good
my
student?
parents, my parents was great. They're actually great. They were always strict on me about sports because they always wanted me to put the education on top of everything. So I was kind of like restricted of being able to just go play soccer outside if I had bad grades at the end of the semester. Because which is how we just used to have like the years in Africa. We used to have 3 semesters. So at the end of the semester, if I had bad grade, I would not be allowed to play until I get my grades up in the next semester. They were actually really strict, and I think that actually helped me being a better man and have some kind of self-discipline about me.
Right, right.
So Jonathan, talking about your soccer experience, you mentioned being a goalkeeper. Did you hit a growth spurt at some point in your, teens? I mean, you obviously now you have like a 7'3", 7'4" wingspan. I could see that you'd be a great goalkeeper with that long wingspan. Did that growth spurt happen in your teen years, or did it happen later in life?
Fun fact is that I just been growing a lot since I was a kid, and I think my growth part actually slowed down a little bit around the age of 15, I
Yeah.
believe. So the whole time at school, I was always the tallest kid, and I was kind of like overlooked sometimes. I was like, okay, I might be too tall to be still be playing soccer because I was like a fit or maybe too taller than other kids of my age.
So how did you transition to basketball? Like when did that light come on that you said, "Hey, this may be a sport I can be really good at"?
Um, I really don't remember about that transition when I realized I could be really good at, but I think I started playing basketball because my older brother and his best friend, who was always hanging out with us, started having this conversation about LeBron James and Michael Jordan. And out of nowhere, I also got interested. And I think a night we watched a game, one of the LeBron James games. I just fell in love. I fell in love with him, even though I didn't understand the sport at all. And I think it's from right there that I just started like loving the game of basketball.
Interesting.
Did you have parks and hoops near your house that you would just go out and shoot on and play on? Had you ever even really just for fun gone and done it before?
Not really, because there's not that many facilities and parks where you can actually shoot or just work on your game. So, my dad during Christmas he bought us this mini basket, so we could just play at home.
Right. And I know that basketball, like you said, is not big there, but that is where Joel Embiid is from too, right? Did you know about him at all as you were getting a little bit older?
As I was getting older and more into the game, I just realized how much of Joel Embiid was a local legend because he was kind of a big deal, and he was from the town where I was born, which is
Mm.
Yaoundé.
Yeah, yeah. So when did you make the decision? Like, I mean, you started getting interested in it, but then when did you make the decision? Okay, this is what I want to do. I want to really pursue basketball. How did that happen?
I might be at the point when I went to this Lukemba Mute camp. It was one of the first NBA player coming from Cameroon. They always do this camp just to give back to the community where he's from, the water. So I went to this camp and I did okay. And some of the scouts there told me that I might be good one day. And I was like, all right, this might be my chance. Let's just try to keep on working. And the fact that look back when they was talking to us, it just showed us that he was able to dream. Like it's possible for kids like us to dream and to get there with just hard work.
So,
Did
so
you
what?
say the camp was by was it Luke and by Mute?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ashley, go ahead.
Yeah. So what led you to Australia from that point? Like, how did you transition from Cameroon to Australia, and where did that take you?
After looking back multi camp, a couple of kids and I got selected to choose basketball without border
Yeah.
in Angola, I believe. And there I got one of the first scholarship to the newly built NBA Global Academy in Australia. And that's where I got a scholarship to go. And two other guys, I believe one was from Argentina and the other guy was from India. And then I got home, I gave the news to my parents, and then my dad was excited about it since he knew that the whole project was like pushed by the NBA. So he knew that there was something safe about it, and he knew that was going to be taken care of by one of the biggest organizations on the planet. So that's how basically I got to Australia.
Awesome. Well, I know, but before we ask you about your UNLV experience, I know that everyone on the Baylor team has professional aspirations to play basketball on the professional level. But I heard you're a really good student as well. What are you studying at Baylor, and what do you want to do after basketball is over?
So the fun fact is that during my freshman year, I didn't have no major at UNLV.
Yeah.
And then when I got here, I chose HKLS. And then during the summer, I just decided that I wanted to do something more toward the environment and science since I really love sciences and
Yeah.
physics.
Yeah.
And I realized I wasn't doing enough of that with my HKLS major. So I changed my major to environmental health science. So I could be doing and studying a field that I actually love because I kind of like love struggling in something that I like doing,
Hmm.
which is basically sciences. And I know that the world is going to need new sources of renewable energy in the next 30 or 20 years, 30 or 20 years. So I feel like it's going to be a good field for me and it's really interesting. I love really like struggling, like the struggle in it. And I'm just like a kid when I'm going to school because I love what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. When you say you love the struggle, I want to just go back real quick to Australia. What was that like for you? The day you had to leave your family and move away, because I know you were really close with them, and then also, was it a struggle when you were there to learn this game that you had never really played before?
It was really hard, like when I had to leave because I don't know how I can explain that, but my siblings and I, we just have like this really tight bond. Like we were going everywhere together. We grew up doing everything together, always eating together, playing the
Yeah,
game together. We went to the same school, took the same classes and everything. So at that point, I just realized I was going to get separated from them. So that was kind of hurting me. But on the other hand, I also knew that I knew I was doing that for my dream, and that was going to get me to a better place to help people just like me. And then in Australia, it was hard, like especially on the language because I used to have some English classes in Cameroon. So fun fact, Cameroon we actually bilingual. we have two national languages with their French and English. But what most people don't know is that we have about two to 300 languages coming from different tribes.
Wow.
Because the special part about Cameroon is that we have about ancestry from every single country in Africa. So they just migrated to a country like 100 years ago, which is why we have so many different tribes. And each tribe got their own language, which is why we have English and French to be able to communicate around the whole country. But unfortunately, I never took serious the English in class. So when I got to Australia, it was really hard from day one. It took me about 3 months just to know my way around school and just understand what the teachers were talking about. So it was really hard. The language barrier played a big part. And I had to be able to even understand what the coaches and teachers was telling me before I even started getting better.
Jonathan, I remember when you came to Baylor, I was at one of your first practices in the summer of last year, before all the COVID stuff hit. And one thing that really impressed me was there was a time, during the practice where there was a break in the play and you just like sprinted over to Coach Peterson and you sought out coaching. You were like, what can I do better? I mean, it was like you were a sponge, like you just wanted to get better. And I remember thinking, man, he has so much potential. He's raw. And then I watched a video before the season started of a scrimmage, and I was like, oh my goodness, it's all come together. Like you had improved so much during that year. And I remember one of the coaches said that most big guys like the gym, but Freddie and Jonathan and even Dane love the gym. And where did that hunger come from? Where did that hunger to get better? When was that instilled in you? Is that as a child, or is that something that you developed later in life?
I must say I took it from my dad because he's been a hard worker. He never had anything given for him, and he always taking care of us. And every single day when I was at the house, he was always like talking to us, telling us we always got to how to work the next guy next to us to even have the opportunity to have a job in life. And on the other hand, after my freshman year, I realized how much work I needed to do. And I knew that my redshirt year was going to give me the opportunity to get better around a great coaching staff, great GAs, and great managers. And on top of that, I also need to add that the whole team is just like full of hard workers. And when you get that type of, mm, I don't know, when you have some ego about yourself, or like some little ego, you just don't want let the next guy next to you outwork you. So basically, I feel like that just bring us and make us as a team, make us just keep on working every time. That's why we always in the gym. We always bring guys to the gym. We never want somebody just staying at home, not doing anything, because we know that's what make the team better, and that's what's gonna make us win a championship.
Yeah, that's awesome. I got to tell you how inspirational you are to every Baylor fan. You can see Jason. I mean, he throws weights around like Tinker Toys, but for all of us normal guys, like I work out, every day. I try to get it 30 minutes to an hour of hard workout. But right before we did this interview, I've had this goal this year to do 100 push-ups a day. And some days I don't get it, like by the end of the day, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm interviewing Jonathan. I gotta do my 100 push-ups before I interview Jonathan because you're inspirational. I mean, I just want to tell you that. But
Thank you.
like I'm just curious, like, your body language is so positive, like after every, possession, you're pointing in the air, you're so expressive when you play. Is that something you consciously focus on, or does that just come natural to you? I mean, I'm curious, your mindset with that.
Mm, I might say it's both. First, it's due to environment, the Baylor environment. Like we have the joy culture, like Jesus order yourself. I always put Jesus Christ and others before me, which is why I always like need to be the best version of myself every day. Always acknowledging people around me, always acknowledging my teammates, which is why I always point for the passes, for a great pass, or for a great play. I always look for others before myself. I know sometimes it's really hard, but you can't be perfect, but I always strive to that goal.
Right.
And on the other hand, I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but I'm like an energy guy in the type of way that I'm either giving you everything or nothing,
Right.
which is why I always try like to like energize, like bring my own motivation, even always pushing hard so that I know that I'm doing something right, just to not go to that zero state.
Right.
Awesome.
How did you, just to backtrack a little bit, how did Baylor's coaches convince you to come to Baylor? Like when you were in UNLV, I know your coach, Marvin Menzies left and, you were looking to transfer. Why Baylor? I mean, do you remember anything about your conversations with Baylor's coaches during that time and why you made the decision?
I don't remember a lot about the conversation, but the main reasons, the first reason why I actually took the visit because I knew about the Baylor history and how they made players who are not like that good becoming really good during like that red shirt year, and I knew that I had to take in account that I might not be able to get a waiver during my transfer year. So when I was picking schools, I was like, all right, so where can I go and maximize my potential during that one year? And obviously, Baylor was like the number one option. That was just for the visit. And then on the second hand, when I got here, I seen Coach Joe Energy, the positivity that was just bringing around the program and just the faith around the program because they were actually like doing the talk, like they were actually about what they were preaching, and I really loved it. And I knew it was an opportunity for me just to get back on track with my faith.
When you said you could see it and you could feel it, that they were really doing what they said, what were you seeing that impressed you that
So, Coach
you
Drew, basic, what is that?
yeah, just like what illustrated that? How could you see that this team and this program was so connected?
Okay, so when I got here, Coach Drew talked me about the joy, the Jesus over myself, Jesus over yourself, and then even during the dinner I had, I seen Davio and Maceo were just loving each other, which is not really like you can already see that in other teams. And on top of that, Coach Drew was also like during my meeting with him, my breakfast with him, it was really like asking me question about my faith. Like it was really asking me how often do I go to church, if I believe in Jesus Christ. And I was really surprised because I took about 9 visits, if I count during my years in high school and my transfer year, and he's the only coach who talked to me about my faith. He's the
Mm.
only coach who asked me if I read the Bible. And he's the only coach, even during the summer, who asked me to have like goals to just improve my spirituality. He was asking me, okay, you need to read the Bible a little more during the summer. He's the only one who told me that. And I don't think there's another coach in the nation who will tell you that, oh, just trying to just pay attention about the spirituality of the person.
What was faith and the Bible and things like that? Were those a big part of your life before Baylor, or has that really grown a lot since you've come?
It was a big part of my life when I was in Africa, but due to the language and the cultural difference, and when I got to Australia, I was kind of a little lost because first I couldn't go to church because I didn't understand English at all my first 3 months. I didn't know my way around town a lot at the beginning, and I didn't have friends who were there to push me to get back on track with it. So when I got better, I just got back on track. I became a better Christian. I became better spiritually, and even my mental health became better.
Is there a coach or other players that you feel like have been mentors to you spiritually in that area? Like, there are some guys that you're close to from a spiritual perspective?
Spiritual perspective, I'm gonna say Coach Drew played a huge part. Coach Tang. I'm gonna say all the coaches because actually we have Bible studies, and we also got chapel before games, and every single coach be talking to us have like a own chapel session. So I feel like all of that just kept on building into my faith and my spirituality.
All right. Wait, now you live with, don't you live with Adam and Jordan? Is that
Yes,
correct?
sir. Yes, sir.
Are those the only two, or do you have somebody else that you room with?
No, that's it. I used to live with Freddie. We used to live with Freddie last
Right,
year.
right. Yeah. Well, yeah, let's talk about that. I know Freddie's been a huge influence on your life.
Definitely, yeah.
We interviewed Freddie, and he gave us some great stories about you. Like he talked about how you would, put like salt shaker, pepper shakers on the table.
Oh, he told you that.
I mean, he was very complimentary, obviously, but like what was it like just to have him as a roommate, and how much did you learn from him?
Man, Freddie was like, I don't know, it was like having the answer for a test when I got here.
Yeah.
Like having Freddie around me, he was helping me and giving me answers to everything whenever I was struggling. He was there for me. We were going to the gym every time, competing. Like this summer before his last season, we were going to the gym every time, playing one-on-one every single day. I would get beat most of the time. We're competing in the workout. Yeah, even when we're working out together, shooting drills, we're competing with everything. It will always help me during the sets, with the set because they were kind of a lot. And even at home, we would just run through the set, be like, "Hey, you gotta do this, do that." And we even got to a point where we're watching film after practice at home every day.
Wow. Wow. I can remember some times last year when I would be at the gym after a game writing my story, and I would leave the Farrell Center at midnight, and I would be walking out and I could hear a ball bouncing and I would look in the practice gym and you were in there all by yourself shooting free throws. I mean, like, was that normal? I mean, like people say you go to the gym a lot, but like, what are some extremes? Like, would you be up there real late at night, real early in the morning?
I mean, I slept at the gym a couple times. I
You
got it.
slept there?
Yeah, at the gym a couple times, but I gotta say it's like normal for everybody. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that, like that, what we're talking about right now might seem a little like extra for other people, but because of how much we all work here, that just seems normal for a program. Because from the coaching staff to the players to the GAs, we all just everyday guys. Because let me tell you, like the GAs be waking up at 4 a.m. and they lift
Wow.
every day. They
They
make,
lift?
yeah, like all the GAs be doing that. A manager are just exceptional. They are always there for us. They will always be there for us to work out. The coaching staff always up, always trying to find ways to make our defense and offense better and make us better people. I feel like the environment just make extra work look like normal work around here.
Yeah. When you slept at the gym, where did you sleep? I mean,
Uh,
like, did you
I
have
sleep.
bed?
I actually slept in the locker room.
Yeah.
I would just be in the locker room sometime after a game because I didn't get to play. I would be in the locker room. I would be shooting and then come back in the locker room, watch some TV, go shoot again.
Mhm.
Just like I felt like I was kind of comfortable just being in the gym, knowing that I'm
Yeah.
getting ready.
Yeah. So there was a couch in the locker room, right? You weren't on
Yeah,
the floor.
there's a
Okay.
couch. Yes.
Another thing I remember last year, people would see you on the sideline and think, man, he is just like so big and strong and ripped. And like, what's your weight room routine like? Do you lift heavy? Do you do like a lot of lightweight, high rep? I guess it's up to Charlie Melton, your strength coach, but
Yeah, so Charlie is actually very like exceptional at what he does because he's trying to be like really like personalized with the workout because he know me it's not about lifting heavy and everything because I'm really like strong due to the body that God gave me. So he's trying to just work on my mobility and we worked a lot during the summer on just my lateral movement, mobility, agility, and being more athletic, be able to change directions.
right. And when it comes to nutrition, because I got to think your body fat is real low, right? Do you know what it is?
It's about 6%, I think, or something like that.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that's
So,
awesome. Is that hard to maintain that? I mean, have you
uh,
found things in Texas that you like to eat that's hard to stay
I,
away from?
I'm gonna be honest with you, but that was one of the blessings that God gave me as well because I had a really bad diet, but I'm trying to just I'm just trying to be a better eater nowadays. I'm trying to avoid red meat and only eat chicken and fish basically. And I think my default might be that I eat a lot of pastry, but I'm still working on it though.
I heard you say in one of the videos at the Farrell Center that you like to eat cake. It's like a
Yes,
big thing.
I'm trying to work on it. I'm trying to work on it.
So you just have that metabolism that just runs hot all the time.
I
You
got blessed with that.
yeah.
Like,
So I want to transition into basketball questions. One thing I'm curious about, you're such a good free throw shooter. Your touch is really, I mean, your form is great on your free throws, and I would assume that you can be a really good mid-range shooter. Is that something that you're just I know so much is analytics these days, and I know Coach Drew is a big analytics guy. 3-point shots obviously worth more than 2-point shots, and in the paint shots are typically converted at a higher percentage than outside the paint. Is that an emphasis, like, hey, if you're wide open, it's okay to take the mid-range shot, but we really prefer your shots come in the paint or from three? I mean, is that a big emphasis with the coaching staff?
actually, Coach Drew and the coaching staff just want you to take the best shot that's for you,
Yeah.
and that's kind of true as well. But on the other hand, I'm really like a really unselfish guy, which is why I don't take like mid ranges, a
Right.
lot of mid ranges. But if I'm wide open, I would definitely take it, and if it's the best solution, I would definitely take it. And to be honest with you, what would the point of being only shooting mid range when you're shooting 90% or 60% from two
Right.
in the paint? So I'm just taking shots that are going to be the best for the team.
Yeah. I mean, and we've noticed too, like, I know from some video, or I guess I got the stats that you can jump over 12 feet, you're with your max vertical. I mean, that's rarefied air. There's not very many guys that can do that. And that's why I think Davion Mitchell said, we're just told to throw it up as high as we can, and Jonathan will go get it. Is that, have you done something to improve your vertical over time, or have you always just had that kind of springs? I mean, have you always just been bouncy?
I'm going to say it might be due to Charlie Melton because
Yeah.
I remember in Australia, I used to be that bouncy, but and then I got to UNLV, put on some weight, and then when I got here, it kept on working with my body and made me more athletic. But at the end of the day, somebody used to tell me that you're only athletic when you're in the right position, and just the way Coach Drew and the coaches stuff just build the offense, that just gave me a chance to be in the right position, and that just show off my athleticism. And that's also due to the great passes that we got.
One final question, then I'll let Jason close us out. I'm just curious, like, what do you think you need to get better at? Like, you've already shown great improvement. You're close to a double-double guy. Like, where do you think you need to get better to really become the complete player that you desire to become?
Mm, basically, I feel like I just need to be more consistent. But at the end of the day, we're winning games, and my goal is to win games. And I feel like I want to be the player that help us to win games. And I just need to be more consistent, be available every single day, every single night, be able to do the little things every single night, and just be more focused. And I think that's just gonna come with games, because since I haven't played that many games, because fun fact, I don't think I've played more than 90 games in my whole life.
Right. Wow.
And so actually more than 70, because in Australia I think I play less than 10 games.
Wow.
So
Wow.
so I'm just learning with every single game, and I feel like I'm getting better every single game. So the more I'm gonna get comfortable within these games, I feel I'm gonna just keep on showing more and keep on improving and keep on helping us win.
That's what amazes me, Jonathan, is I knew you were going to be really good, but I was kind of prepared to like say it may take a year or two, but I mean the fact that you've made such an impact so quickly is great. There's a great story that Coach Tang, I think it was Coach Tang, told us about you during quarantine. You guys weren't allowed to go to the weight room as a group, so you had to take some equipment home. Tell us about you and your balcony at your apartment complex.
Yes. So yeah, and I think that was when we were not allowed to go back, like right before we shut down. Right before we shut down, I think after the tournament got canceled. So I got I got my friend's truck. I got some equipment from the weight room. I just realized I had a huge balcony that I never used at home. So I just set up a little weight room up there. I got some little dumbbells, a lot of bands, a jump rope, um, I don't know, some barbells, and then I just started lifting every single day. I started lifting every single day. I also got some cones so I could do some agility drills on the turf at my apartment.
Right.
So just I could just stay ready.
So you would go out there like early in the morning or late at night. You'd be just doing bench
Uh,
presses and curls and
so,
what?
so I was trying to make sure that I get 3 workouts in a day. So
Right.
I would be waking up at like 6 a.m., go on the turf, just do agility drill, just to work on my defense, be able to switch. So I'll be able to switch guards without fouling. And then after that, I will be coming back home on my balcony, just lifting, just
Mhm.
build on some muscle, and then just go back on the court that is outside, maybe at night or later, just work out.
Yeah. The other thing I've really thought that I think has been really neat is the relationship and the chemistry you seem to have with Flo. And some people watching this may not realize, you're not in the starting lineup. Flo Thamba is a starter, but you get equal or more minutes off the bench. But you guys really, I like when you come in and he's coming out, the way you're interacting with one another. There doesn't seem to be any jealousy or any tension there at all. Talk about your friendship with him.
I mean, first I gotta just give a shout out to a culture of joy. That's mainly it. And I'm actually come a long way with Flo because I knew Flo before Baylor.
Oh
We went
wow.
to a basketball that both came together. So we just have like this brotherhood, and we just want the best for each other. That's the fun fact. Like we want us to succeed because at the end of the day, the team is gonna need both of us to win games and to
Yeah.
get where we want to get.
Yeah, yeah, he's making such an impact on this team, and I think that your presence there is probably a huge reason. My last question and our last question is just tell us where this team is right now. How are you feeling? I know there's probably some frustration this week that the West Virginia game got postponed, but kind of just give us your opinion on where you guys are and how much better you can get.
Talking about the cancel game, I mean, there's some frustrations, but at the end of the day, we knew the season was going to look like that, and we kind of used of that happening. And this is the COVID year, so there's not that much of a setback, and we just focus on the next game. We excited about playing every single game, so we're just getting ready for Texas Tech, and I think that our team is looking all right, but we haven't showed the best of Baylor yet.
Right.
Jason, can I sneak one more in here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching Bob Huggins did a presser before the West Virginia Baylor game. Obviously, that didn't happen, but they were asking him about Baylor, and he said, "Man, the one thing that really impresses me is obviously Baylor's bigs. Flo and Mark Vital and Jonathan Tchamwa Tchatchoua. They run the floor so well." He goes, and it just it's unusual to see big guys run the floor so well. And is that something that's emphasized? I mean, are you guys really trying to be elite and you just making sure that on every possession you just you bust your butts to get back on defense, or you bust your butts to get in position to get offensive rebounds or dunks or layups? I mean, is that a big emphasis?
Yes, I'm gonna say it's actually both because I gotta give shout out to the coaching stuff. With Coach Peterson always telling us that great bigs nowadays gotta be able to rebound, run, and roll. So he always want us to be like the first guy down. The second hand, this is just the beginning. It's still the beginning of the season, and teams are actually not really good at transition defense.
Right.
So we're trying to make sure that we always get back on time in 3.2 seconds as big so we can build on the defense.
And I
And my
know.
last.
Oh,
Go.
I know that Pascal Siakam is a guy that you've looked up to, and but I've kind of always said that you remind me of Montrezl Harrell. Is that a good comparison for you? I mean, is that?
Yes, I think I actually look up a lot about a lot Montreal's and Bam Adebayo.
Yeah.
Montreal, I feel like my game really like look alike. My game and his game really look alike with the energy and the way we play and our size especially.
Right.
And Bam, I just feel like like with the little finesse and how he can read the game and impact the game with his passing is something that I should add to my game too.
Right, right. John, do you get to see your family? I mean, since leaving Australia, I mean, do they ever get to come over? I mean, how much do you get to communicate with them?
I communicate with them almost every day, every other day. I was really thankful to be able to see my dad. I think my freshman year at the UNLV, he came to the US to watch a couple of games, and that's pretty much it. I still haven't been able to see my siblings for about 3 to 4 years now.
That's tough. Well, hopefully they'll get to make it over. And are you good with the nickname Everyday John? That's kind of what people are calling you now. Coach Drew pushes that Everyday John nickname. What does that say? What does that mean?
When I got here, the coaching staff used to call me JTT, and then I mentioned that I really didn't like it because it was kind of abbreviating my name. And where I'm from, we really put like a lot of emphasis on the family name. So I really didn't want somebody to abbreviate that. So then Coach No came up with Everyday John. I was like, yeah, that's fine. I love it. And he told me that he's calling me Everyday John because I'm bringing the same thing and the same energy, and I'm really consistent every day.
Yeah. Well, John, I sure both of us really appreciate the time. And, like you said, you haven't seen the best of Baylor yet. I know we haven't seen the best of John yet, but I know what we've seen so far from both instances is pretty darn good. So we're really excited and glad you're a member of the Baylor family. So for Ashley Hodge, I'm Jason King. This has been the Field of 68, the Sic'Em 365 podcast for the Field of 68 Network. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Sic'Em.